You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Hour, the show that brings you unfiltered stories and insight from the Twin Cities real estate world with your hosts, Chris Rooney, broker at RE/MAX Preferred, and Andy Prasky, leader of the Preferred Home Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Hey, buenos dias.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Actually, yesterday I was in the mythical El Dorado. Have you heard of the infamous Gold City? It was actually like a lake they did this ceremony in. So I got to go check that out. Went to Salt Cathedral Cave, massive salt mine that is like, now they have movie theaters in there, obviously the cathedral, a party room. You know, I mean, it was huge. Really, really cool. So it was 12 hours of touring yesterday. You know, I got my fix in.
So you also had some news this week too. I read your mother, because I that's how I get my news is through your mom. You signed. Now you're going back to Europe.
Yeah, back to civilization. I'm going to Germany. I love Latin America. I've been here for basically a year straight, but I do miss, you know, Europe. Things functioning a little more correctly, and you know, the Latino vibe is the best. I mean, it's amazing, but you know, in Europe, things are just done a little more, you know, how it's supposed to be done.
Isn't that kind of just the difference, like third world, second world, first world countries, right? I mean, it's like just things are just a little more in line and easier to get to, and
well, especially Germany. So, I mean, I bet after a couple of months, I'll be wishing I'm back in the more free area of Latin America. But I'm very excited. Like, I've only been to Berlin, and it's really going to be a great hub, you know, Munich, for me to explore the rest of the country, right? And we got German blood in my family, so
yeah,
I'll go back to the roots.
So do we.
I thought you were Polish.
I am, but you know what's funny is that a couple years ago we did 23andMe, and I've always been pushed as Andy's the big Polish guy, whatever, and it turned out I was more German than I actually am Polish.
Wow. I don't want to do that 23andMe. I don't want to find out what the hell would happen with that thing.
The sad reality is all grandma and grandpa and great-grandma and great-grandpa's secrets come out without them knowing it. Why am I the only guy in the family that has French in his blood? You know, and it's like, well, grandpa, grandma.
I just don't like, they could totally tag you. I just don't like that.
And they have all your data, and one of them got hacked before, and I wouldn't trust any of those companies.
So let's say that your name is Banana Peel Johnson, and you send it in, and the only thing they know is your email address, really. It's up to you to give them all your personal information, and they just do DNA off the spit. So all they're doing is, and then technically, if you read the fine print, they're just giving you statistics. So statistically, this kind of DNA comes from this part of the world, from what we've been told. And so all of a sudden, out of the blue, they'll come back and say, well, hey, on your DNA strand, we've also found people are coming now from North Africa or from wherever. And it's like, the more people that do it, the more data they capture, the more they...
Huh.
No.
You're in the system, Andy. They got you.
I'm in.
Andy's in.
I love it. I don't mind at all. Because I'll tell you one thing it also does. It gives you some of the traits that are in your DNA so that you can say, hey, you do not have these cancer traits that are historically linked to this DNA strain.
But they're saying the healthcare companies could get that information and then make your premiums or deny you and all that kind of stuff. That's what the little conspiracy was.
I guarantee you that'll eventually happen.
But anyways, real estate, boys. Before we get into that, the whole Davos, you know, World Economic Forum thing, I got a good video from there. What are you seeing in Minnesota the winter?
Chris?
It's totally fine. I think the market is going as we suspected. It probably would, with rates going down and getting started. I think there's some, obviously, all the time, there's different price segments that are better than others, but getting a lot of action, getting a lot of listings on. It's kind of like, when do you put it on? I've got 6 off-market listings right now that it's kind of like, should we do it? Should we not? Obviously, this little cold spell was a not, but we do have a couple of them on, and both had offers this week. So
that's great.
It's just so weird with listings. You know, pre-COVID, you always had 15 to 25 listings. I mean,
Yep.
always kind of had that. And now it's like you get them, but it's like some might last a little while, like 2 or 3 of them, but then you just constantly you get them and then they turn around and sell. I mean, and that's just a testament to low inventory, and there's just not a lot out there that's available.
You're right, and I think that the other thing, like I almost identical to what you just said. In about the last 7 days, I've picked up about 7 new properties I'm putting on the market as well. Just random, 20 customers from 20 years ago saying, you know what, I think it's finally time we're going to get rid of our big house on the golf course. Or beautiful, I've got a beautiful townhouse coming in downtown Maple Grove where it's like literally you're right in the middle of all the bars and restaurants, and it's pretty cool. So I'm excited. There's a lot of good stuff on the way.
I'm glad you said that because it reminded me of an email I got this week, and it was an email thread that was in 2016, and the guy just responded to it. And he goes, "Well, I told you I'd let you know when we were ready." It's 8 years later. It's kind of funny.
People do apologize all the time about that. Hey, I see your emails. I don't always read every one of them, but I try to. And I'm like, that's okay. I understand. I want to be like the when you're ready, I want to be there for you. Right. And if you don't need me, I completely understand shelving us as a real estate agent. But I think the biggest mistake, Chris, and this kind of comes back to, real estate agents. The biggest mistake most agents make is that they don't keep in touch with clients that were happy, right? I mean, they help them buy their house and they're like, oh, they won't be buying a house for 10 years. And they kind of forget. And I'm like, if it's something as a newsletter or somebody follows you on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you're putting out content, they may not absorb that content. Just like it's funny how like when you're not buying a car ads don't mean anything to you. But the second you're shopping for a car, now you listen to every word and you try to read the fine print on the bottom of the commercial. And it's the same kind of thing with real estate. I think that a lot of people right now are curious. Some people are a little nervous. I mean, I've got some of the doomsdayers talking about all the consumer debt and how people are so gluttonous. They're like, they're going to keep spending until they get cut off on their credit, and then they're going to be starving to death and have to liquidate their assets. And it's like, because they talked about Christmas specifically, right? And they said, oh, Christmas was great. There's nothing wrong with the economy. The problem is that they're starting to show stats saying that Christmas was great because they had enough room on their credit cards to put it on their credit card. You know what I mean? And so now they're starting to look back, and But here's the thing. You and I both work in markets where I'm dealing with very healthy buyers, very healthy sellers. They own their house free and clear, or a majority of it's paid for. They have lots of options. They're looking for that next adventure in life. So I don't see any panic or turmoil in any of my markets I'm working. But
I'll tell you one thing I've really noticed is the cost of things now. I mean, I didn't really, but I kind of do my own shopping and stuff, and now it's just like, are you kidding me? I mean, this is crazy. You go to lunch and you have 2 people, it's $50. And it's not even like you're eating anything. I mean, it's just.
I said, when did it become cool? When did it become cool for a cheeseburger to be $18?
Yeah.
Seriously. Or you go to some of these salad stores and you try to be healthy, and then you get out of there and it's $22 for a water and a salad with some protein on it. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. And then you're like, you don't even want to eat healthy. Now you understand why people eat, food out of boxes, because it's cheap.
Well, it's like in a restaurant too. It's $20 a meal. It's $4 for a drink, a non-alcoholic beverage, and then they do some service charges, and then you got a tip. It's crazy.
Eventually, our lifestyles will be waned by our lack of interest in spending $50 for 2 people to go to dinner, unless you just make a lot of money. Those that make a lot of money can afford that service level. Good for them, and they'll probably be the ones that keep businesses afloat. But you're right. I mean, when you go to, this is so silly. Like the other day, and I'll rhymes with Wendy's. I don't know. That doesn't rhyme very well. But we went there and we got a salad, and I ordered a chicken sandwich. And they go, all right, pull around. That's $22. For a chicken sandwich and a salad, like I got like a water and a small French fry for us to split.
At a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, it rhymed with Lendy's.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. Nick was always doing it, and I kind of like spooked me at the beginning. You go over to those foreign countries and they don't tip. There's no tipping. And it's just kind of like you kind of want to tip them, but that makes a big difference too. I'm telling you. And now 100%. The little computers that they have,
Yeah.
They just hit a number and you just gotta. I mean, they do it at a freaking Minnesota Wild game. You can't pay with anything without a credit card, and then the people behind there want tips, and people are doing it.
Well, you know what I've always wondered about that? I thought, hey, here's this kid, and I've asked them. I said, hey, so this what's being asked of me on the screen? Can you see on the other side what's asking me? He said no, and I said, so if I put on there a $50 tip, you're not going to say thank you? He goes, well, I can't really see that. My boss does, and then my boss gives us a cut of it, and I go, so they're not even giving it all to the people. So it's like, I'm telling you, our system is set up to take money from the foolish. Do not just say 20% tip when you're at the gas station. I mean, where does it stop? Screw this stuff, man. You need to understand, like if I'm pumping my own gas or I'm buying my own food or I'm going through a drive-through and you're just providing general service, you're not bringing it to my table. You're not making suggestions. You're not saying, boy, the whatever looked great today. I highly suggest you try this. The chef is very proud of himself today. That's different. That's where they're guiding you through an experience. That's tippable. I look at like where they, you order on a computer and they bring you a French fry on a plate and you're like, here's your stuff. You chose to take that job for $18 an hour.
Yeah, the tip culture has gotten out of hand in USA. From what I see on the social medias, I think it's a really neat thing, like the American spirit to like help out the hardworking person. But a lot of times it's just the businesses, putting their cost onto you, right? And it's quite sad.
Yeah,
especially.
I think go ahead. Well, I really think that it should be tipped based on something, not just like you feel you have to do it. That's what I think.
Well, that's like the pizza guy. They get so mad at me. I'll order a pizza, and I'm just being honest. I'll say, all right, listen. I go to the guy, say, would you like to put the tip already on your card when you order the pizza? I said, no, but you can tell the pizza man if he delivers my stuff hot and fresh and gets here quick, he'll get a better tip than he will if you just let me put it on right now, because I'll give him $1 right now. If you want to show up, I might give you $10 if you show up in 15 minutes. And all of a sudden, weird. I get pizza delivered that's hot, fresh. It's not flipped over in their car and brought back. And they, I mean, those guys are busy too, right? You can be their first stop or you can be the fifth stop. The fifth stop gets a garbage pizza that's cold and you pay the same price and they expect a tip. And I'm like, And but see, the difference is this. I play very fair. I'll say right up front, tell your driver if he gets it here faster and it's better quality, I know he gets a better tip. Think about it. Try it. And all of a sudden they're motivated to give you their best quality product and a prompt service. And it's like weird. I'll pay for that.
Okay, since we're going this route, I'm gonna say one that I can't stand. When you're at the grocery store, do you just want to round it up? I said, no, I don't want to round it up. I'm not doing it. I mean, I don't care if it's 3 cents. I just can't even believe they even asked that.
Yeah. I'm like, why don't you round it down?
Give me a little bowl there, and I'll maybe throw something in there. But God, I can't stand that.
You guys have to ask for your tips now as real estate agents. Why don't you guys get tips?
Slide the old phone across there, and it says, "Would you like to add 10% for?"
But come on, let's get into some
iPad. Here you go. Sign it at closing.
I was really good. I suggest you give me this tip.
Let's get practical here, okay? Though, let's talk about this Davos thing. This Howard Lutnick, he owns a big financial service that liquidated a lot of things, and he was in Davos talking about how generational change in real estate is coming. I got a video here. I want you boys to see it and let me know what you think, okay?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Is it in English?
Yeah, they just tried. Hold on. Hey, you guys keep talking. Let me figure this out. It was working before I went on the show.
There you go.
A veces el mundo de la empresa puede ser un poco.
Oh.
They won't let you stop commercials, man.
Give me a second. You guys talk.
Just throw it on the screen when it starts running. But yeah, no, when it comes down to like things like tipping and our like we're kind of talking about this, they're trying to develop this culture of doing very little, feel sorry for me and give me a big tip. Yeah. And it sours everybody because everything's so expensive. I mean, I don't know. I agree. I understand people have costs of business, but eventually when people run out of credit card space, I think they'll stop going out to eat. And I think you'll start feeling it at the restaurant level first. Then you start seeing it at the, what do I pay? That's the least important to me. Oh, go ahead.
All right, boys, got it back. Okay, here we go. Let me know if you can hear it.
Everybody happy, hard to do, but the FDIC, I think, did a marvelous job. $60 billion loan sales. And I think what's going to happen is loan sales, which no one talks about, are going to become a huge business, because when mortgages on commercial buildings come due, $1 trillion coming due in the next 2.5 years at these higher rates, right? You're not going to get proceeds, meaning when you have a $120 million loan on a building and someone says, I'll give you $90 million at a much higher rate, that you throw the keys back to the lenders. The lenders lent okay. Real estate equity REITs are going to be in trouble. They're going to get, a lot of them are going to get wiped out. So many defaults. I think $700 billion could default, right? The lenders are going to have to do things with them. They're going to be selling. It's going to be a generational change in real estate coming. End of 24 and all of 25, we will be talking about real estate being just massive change. 700 billion to $1 trillion in defaults coming. Now, fortunately, Newmark's in the business of liquidating, helping, servicing, so everyone's going to learn the difference between those who own the real estate and those who service the people. But I think it's going to be a very, very.
I think he might have been talking about you guys servicing the people in real estate. No.
I think he's talking about the loan servicers.
Yeah.
It's mainly about the loan stuff. Yeah. It's who's taking the payments and handling the escrow accounts and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's a definite trickle down effect, even from the commercial end of it. I mean, if that all kind of falls to hell, maybe one of two ways. Where do people go and where do they put their money? They might put it in residential real estate, and or they just take it out of everything. But I just don't see that happening. I mean, in residential, it just,
No.
to me, I mean, you still have to have somewhere to live. I mean, for companies and stuff like that, they can always send their employees home and work out of their house. And I mean, a lot of them still do that. I met with two people the other day. They both work out of their home. They've been working out of their home ever since COVID started, and it's totally fine. So that kind of more lies the issue. I mean, they figured that works, and it's good for some companies.
Well, just like anything else, Chris, in life, like let's say you and I own a big commercial building together, and you own 70% of it and I own the other 30%. Now we have somebody, the bank that comes along that says, hey boys, you've only got 50% equity in this property. We need you to have 70% equity, or we have a higher interest rate, or we're going to call your note due. So what we as owners of that building can do is we can either, refinance like they're talking about, we can default, or we can get really creative and put different positions in that company where Chris and I might be able to give up some of our equity, for an example, at a discount to get other cash investors to infuse cash into that building, where I give up 30% of my 30%, but I raise $1 million that all of a sudden can go towards that buy down with that bank. So now I'm not the only player in there. Now there's 3 players or 4 players or 5 players. I think you're going to see a lot of that happening. And then there's going to be rules that come with that, where if there's another escalator that comes along with a bank, and all of a sudden, the person that is investing in, as the angel investor, sometimes they call, will come in there and they'll actually be able to buy out the original people at discounts. And so it really comes down to where I think there's 2 ways to look at this. Doom and gloom, get your rain umbrella, it's going to rain. Or say, hey, let's get some buckets and collect this rain because it's worth a lot of money. There's opportunities coming. And I look at it as this will be one of the greatest opportunities we've seen to secure some of these properties, because if those banks have to liquidate those properties at pennies on the dollar, here's what's interesting and sad at the same time. The way the feds have positioned banks in this world, in our country, a lot of times when you're a business owner, Chris and I that want to build an office building, we don't go to the big banks that take all the deposits on Fridays, right? You know who you are. You go there and they have a checking account, they have their business accounts, and we go to the little bank. Well, the little bank is the one that's financing our big commercial building. The problem is that they're putting the strains on these little banks. Little banks are going to disappear on us, guys, and nobody's going to be able to lend. And we're going to have a country that could become very difficult to get a loan or whatever. So we have to protect these banks. And I don't know. I think if I was anybody at the Minnesota state level of these banks that don't lend back into the communities where they take deposits, I think there should be penalties for that. And so these banks that are taking in, I don't remember what the number is, but one of the biggest banks, we all know it has 2 names, and two names in its name, words in its name, and it literally has like I don't know how many billions of dollars per Friday being deposited, but they put zero money back into local business lending. They're not required to, so they don't. And so then all of a sudden you have all the majority of the money and the deposits being made into these big banks, and the little banks are not getting the deposits, but they're the ones that are taking all the strain and the stress of trying to finance these private deals. And anyway. I think it's going to be a big attack on little banks, to be honest with you, beyond just the consumer or whatever. But
yeah, I kind of sometimes think about this, and I remember the whole Y2K thing. I mean, we've been being told about ever since interest rate went up. We've been told about all the commercial loans that are going to go bankrupt and everything, and we thought they were all going to get bankrupt 2 years ago, really. Mm-hmm. And so now it's next year, and that's the year before, and it's all this shit that constantly.
And guess what they'll do? They'll do some kind of federal stimulus that says, hey, commercial, we don't have to do this. We're going to roll it back to 3%, and everybody can keep their commercial, and then there's nothing to talk about.
Or BlackRock comes in and saves everyone and just buys everything out. I mean, it might be a little plan to do all that crap. So it's just kind of like, I think you got to just, I don't know. I mean, I'm not so sure I'm going to go buy a commercial property right now downtown Minneapolis and, put an 8% loan on it. But, I don't know. A lot of these.
I might buy but if I was an individual and I was investing into like buy a fourplex and you live in one of the units for basically get an FHA loan on a fourplex, you can almost live for free your whole life and own that building. Yeah. And so there's some of those kind of things I think are really cool tools that as we've become a culture, especially in Minnesota, where people like apartments now. People are used to apartments. When I grew up, everybody lived in a single family home and there was only a couple apartments on the end of town. Well, now it's a lifestyle choice. People are like, I don't want to deal with the whatever. So they stay in apartments. I think different housing inventory styles will become more prevalent in the future where, like, for one of the examples I'll give you, Chris, I mean, and I know you've seen this. If you would have told me 10 years ago that we were going to go out and sell single family homes that are slab on grade 2 stories with 3 bedrooms up, only 2 bathrooms and a 2-car garage on a tiny postage size stamp lot, I would have said no flipping way. And that they were going to average about $425,000 for a sale price, I'd say no flipping way, man. And now that's one of the hottest products that's out there.
Yeah, I think we always we're constantly adapting, and we're moving towards solutions. And I've seen a lot of families hunkering down together now too, which is really, I think, really kind of interesting. And Andy, I'm sure you see that as well. I mean, in building that they're creating these houses that multiple people and families can live in there. I see people, at least they're talking about, they haven't quite done it yet. And some comments are, well, hey, we're going to get a bunch of acreage and we'll be able to all stay out there. And I'm kind of like, that makes some sense. You're pulling all your finances together, have a big area in which to be able to do it. And who doesn't want to be around their family? I'm moving to Germany and I'm going to stay in Nick's little efficiency apartment.
And yeah, we'll call you Gustav, and you'll eat sausage every day.
That's how my parents live in this beautiful Greystone triplex for free. It's called house hacking. I invited my parents to move into the bottom unit and rented out the other 2 units for $1,650 each. So the 2 rents give me a total monthly revenue of $3,300. My mortgage payment and expenses are approximately $2,300. That leaves me with $1,000 in my pocket, and my parents live for free.
Yeah. What you guys were kind of talking about, so that's why I posted it.
That's 2021 numbers. Nowadays, a triplex would sell for probably $400,000 a unit. So it'd be $1.2 million. The debt service would be over $5,000 a month. Right now, with interest rates the way they are.
What kind of triplex you looking at? Holy moly!
You can. I'm telling you, Chris. Even if a triplex. Let's say it's $900,000. What's the payment on that? Almost $4,000 a month.
Yeah, but I don't know where she is. It's obviously wasn't Minnesota,
right?
But, God, you can get a triplex. I've got a duplex coming on that's $350,000. I mean, you can get them
for all units.
Yeah,
a triplex
in Minneapolis. It's a duplex.
What area?
It's a duplex. It's a good area. I mean, just close to the airport, close to the lakes.
Doesn't need money.
It doesn't need money.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's not perfect, but they're 2-bedroom units with a basement.
Yeah, but okay. So that's different. See, I don't see that where I'm up in the suburbia and everything has to be built new, or everything that's up is either garbage.
Okay, all right.
Garbage.
So now if you're building it, that's a whole different game. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that's in everything except kind of in that 500 to 700 range.
So right now there's an investment opportunity available in Champlin. They're brownstones, kind of like what you just saw there, but they don't have all the stucco on the front.
Yeah.
And they're selling 8 units for $3.2 million. And yep, brand new construction. They're fully leased already, and it barely cash flows. But they're like, but you got to put a bigger deposit down, then it makes you more money. And I go, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It makes you more money on having more money down, so then you have more of a cost of investment.
Money, right? Yeah.
Anyway,
crazy.
Hey, this next one, I want to know how important this is to the agent, and will it show good to your clients? Okay, so hold on.
There are 4 hidden gems in the Twin Cities. Number 1, Moorfield Labs Quiet Chamber. This is the quietest place on Earth, where a specialized chamber absorbs 99.99% of the sound. Number 2, Wabasha Street Caves. These are man-made sandstone caves that were once used by gangsters and bootleggers during the Prohibition era. Number 3, Niagara Cave. This is one of the most spectacular natural wonders in Minnesota, featuring a 60-foot waterfall, fossils, calcium salt icicles, and an underground wedding chapel. Number 4, House of Balls. This is a quirky art studio and gallery run by sculptor Alan Christian, who creates whimsical and bizarre sculptures from bowling balls, mannequins, dolls, and other found objects. Are you looking to buy or sell real estate in the Twin Cities? Send us a message down below.
I love that girl.
That's a pretty girl. Jeez.
Yeah.
That was actually really good.
Yeah.
So why do we play that? That for people that don't know, that is my daughter, Nick's sister.
Yeah.
Right there.
Are you still paying her royalty fees for all the voiceovers she did for us back in the day?
Yeah, that's true. Her and Hannah.
Hannah asked me, it was about 2 years ago, she said, we should go record commercials for you guys again. And I'm like, you should.
That'd be funny.
No, basically how important it is for the agent to know the area and those things and where to go and whatnot. I mean, it seems like a lot of agents don't have a grip on the areas they sell.
You got a great idea. That's how we could get better tips. This show always comes full circle. I'm telling you.
I tell you, I just got to hang around you more because you make money just by thinking.
But if you do think about some of that stuff, I mean, there's advantages to knowing that kind of stuff because even with people that are transferring in and or just trying to like feel the value. So I do a lot of work at Credit River, which is now a city. It's kind of like, I mean, it's almost gotten to the point where the homes average about $1 million. I mean, because there's a lot of new construction happening and you still kind of, you're 400 to 4 million kind of in that area. But to be able to kind of sell the idea of what this town means and then what are its attributes and why is it that it's, rising in value and will it continue to rise in value? Will it be a place that people want to come? And so knowing different things in different areas and really all about the Twin Cities, I mean, it's what we have to do. And I think that's interesting from an agent too, is that there is so many different things that we have to know. I mean, you really do. You're kind of expected to know all of them and or at least have the source to get those answers from. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we'll talk about, a psychiatrist, a social worker,
totally.
A tax accountant. There's a lot of things that we got to be a lawyer. I mean, we can't do those things, but people, the expectations are that you do. I get questions all the time. I was just meeting with a client that has a family plot up on a lake up north, and it's like, hey, how do we make this thing more valuable, what it's worth, and all the different things that you have to go through a city. And I mean, those are things that, we learn over time. I know, Andy, you've done some developing as well, and getting all that things and navigating through a city. I mean, it's not easy. And so it's not everyone has that ability in which to be able to do it, but those are the things that we're constantly doing.
Yeah, I think you have to be a little bit of a chameleon to survive. I mean, there's always change and adapting to and being ahead of the change sometimes. Like with Chris and I, if you think about this, we're sitting here today. We've already commented on somebody commenting about 2025. And it's not that we know what's going to happen. It's just that we hear that stuff. And so the next time I get an opportunity to hear a little bit more, I go a little farther into that wormhole, right? And I just get a little more information. And then what's kind of cool is that if you're curious, like I think both of us are with a lot of this stuff, we put all that information together. We say, hey, to our clients, hey, here you go. This is what we know about that topic. Or this is what we've seen so far. What's your opinion of what we've seen? And we're not the expert. We're not the one sitting on Fox News telling you what's going to happen in the world. But I'll tell you one thing. I can tell you what's happening in my, probably 25-mile bubble, pretty close. And that's anyway.
Yep.
I get
That's great graphics.
I don't know if I should look at the lightning bolts or the words or.
I know, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what it basically came down to is he has a client that finally found a house that demonstrates enough value to that we're willing to pay, for example, whatever the seller's asking. And sometimes, I'll tell you what, guys, I mean, when you're out there making offers, it is our job as an agent to help them strategize, because sometimes asking price is discounted and you're going to get beat out because there might be 3 other people, that are coming in at 10,000 over. So you really have to look at what is the real value. So coming in at asking price, that's assuming that everybody's priced right. And so I don't put as much value on that, other than that's a newer agent that's excited he's finally getting a deal done or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's our job to give the information so they can make an informed decision on what's best for them. And but I think about that and I'm like, gosh, I'm on year 34 now in this business, but it still is, when you kind of get a deal done, it's still like, it's like that little win. I don't know if I quite got those graphics, but it's still fun in which to do.
We could do it in your garage, Chris. I think we could come lightning bolts and get some bars out there and some batteries. We could make lightning bolts going by your head. I think we should try it. Record it.
Let's do it.
Andy, I'll try. Let's do a video with you. I think you'd be fantastic with that. It'd be cool.
2 realtors electrocuted in garage in Prior Lake.
I was totally thinking of a reel yesterday. I was kind of getting into this little reel thing and coming up with ideas, and I was thinking about Andy and a reel. And what I thought would really be kind of fun is, like, you kind of got to imagine this now, that Andy's talking and all of a sudden he falls down the stairs and you see him rolling down all the stairs. And then at the bottom, he pops back up and he just continues on exactly what he was talking about. And then eventually a little flip-flop follows him down and he grabs it and puts it back on.
That would be funnier than heck.
That would get a lot of watch time.
I know. I'm telling you, I could produce him. He won't take it. He's the perfect candidate for these reels.
Okay, ready? The first scene, we're gonna have you roll down the stairs. Roll.
Yeah, he'll be in cast, but I'll tell you, the video will be good. You see, there's people that crash planes, for God's sakes, to get views.
You know where the stair curves, Chris? I'd probably go right through that wall.
I know, but we're thinking we would cut, make you hit the wall, and spring down the next set of stairs.
Do we have stuntmen that we can hire here in Minneapolis?
We can figure that out.
Okay.
Hey, on this real estate social media, they're always bashing these kind of newer young agents for videos like this. I just want to hear your thoughts on it.
Good morning. Here's another day in the life as a 25-year-old real estate agent living in.
Whoa. No, we're not doing that. No. I don't know why you're into this, but we're stopping it right now.
I think that'd be our next video, Chris. You and I doing some kind of
Can you keep that video moving?
That would be hilarious if you tried copying one of these. You guys.
Oh my God.
A day in the life of a 58-year-old realtor. I go to the gym, get my Starbucks.
Yeah, and we're walking it. We'd get picked on or canceled or whatever they call it immediately for.
Did he say 50? He said 58 too. You're not 58. I know I'm not 58. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Obviously, we're not. Just look at us.
We should just do videos instead, Andy.
We're 58 in realtor years for
Cut
sure.
this real estate crap out. Get that girl to start showing houses for us. We'll be at the club. Get her working.
What's the ratio for realtor years versus regular years? It's 1.2. So if you're a realtor, you actually look 20% older than you really are.
Oh, really?
I think it is. Just like dogs have, 7 years? So you take your real number times 1.2. It's because of the stress, Chris, I think.
Well, I got my new light, so I think that's going to help. See it?
Yeah. I like your doors on your office. That's really nice. Hey guys, Andy Prasky with RE/MAX and the Preferred Home Team. If your house didn't sell before the listing expired, you probably are feeling a little frustrated, and I understand. It's a hard spot to be in. Let me run down a few options for you. When your house hasn't sold, you can take it off the market completely, sell it yourself, or work with an agent to relist it. If this is a bit overwhelming, here's what I'll tell you. There's probably a reason you wanted to move, so deciding you're not going to move isn't really putting your needs first. And while you can try to sell it yourself, it's an involved process. And if you're already stressed because it didn't sell the first time, taking on the pressure of selling it on your own may be more than you want to tackle. Option 3 is to relist it. Now, I know you didn't have a great experience, and I want to change that. I'm here to listen and offer advice. Let's connect so that you can have a partner who can help you make a plan to help you make your next real estate move. Call me Andy P. I'd love to help you on your real estate journey today. No, see, I didn't even have to go in a workout outfit or coffees.
Hey, Ludwig says this is me and you talking about tipping.
Oh my God. That is awesome.
Okay. All right. Is this normal? I'm selling my home. We put it in coming soon over the weekend with plans for photos on Monday. I don't know if that's the right move, but we'll talk about that. When making this arrangement, she asked me if I had gotten any phone calls. She said she'd have to refer them to me to schedule it anyway. I work from home, but easily could leave 9 to 5 with my dogs, work elsewhere. It's not that hard, but I wanted to check if this ever happens. What?
The agent put the phone number on the listing. That was the title.
Put whose phone number?
The seller.
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what, there's some areas of the United States that do that. I don't know where this is coming from, but yeah, that's ridiculous. You don't ever want your client talking to other agents, first of all.
Then as an agent, what's your role?
Well, it depends what their contract is, right? I mean, are you a facilitator? Is it kind of is there limited representation? Is it full representation? I mean, there's a lot of little things that come in here. But I think the other thing that said on there was talking about it was a coming soon listing and that they were going to wait and get photos on Monday. So it's a coming soon listing that's going on before you have photos. So your first impression is that, oh, here's something that's coming on, but I don't really know what it is. So by the time it comes on, it's not as fresh and exciting anymore. So I think you got to kind of watch that. I mean, you don't have to give all the pictures, but you got to give something. You got to give them a better feel.
Coming soon is a good tool if you're trying to gauge a market. So like I've used it as a tool where it's a teaser, right? So if you're trying to get momentum, so you're not just starting the treadmill at 0, you're actually jumping on a treadmill that's already moving. The idea of a coming soon is to be, you run the coming soon period. How many calls do we get? How many views do we get? Are people inquiring about the property at the price it's being marketed at? Or are we flatlining and we need to make some serious adjustments before we go live or active? And so the idea there is really, in my opinion, is to see like, hey, what are people going to pay $725 for this house or not? Is there anybody even looking at that price range right now? Because you can really, make a lot of decisions in marketing that will reflect, hey, it's a slower market versus a faster market versus let's put all in and go nuts on this thing for 3 weeks. And, what do you think about that?
I'll tell you one thing. My wife was telling me that She goes, you got to smile more when you're on that show. That's the one thing that kind of sucks about these podcasts that are filmed. Because, I mean, we never smile. I mean, we were looking at notes and doing different stuff, and we're still able to talk and be able to get it out. But
just Chris,
now I have to look at this and smile the whole time.
I'll tell you, we just have to have the Ludwig's version of the Muppets. The two guys in the balcony, that's us. So you should do that as a sound clip, Nick, and just have it whenever we do something stupid.
He just referred to us as two guys that sit up at the VFW, and then for 3 hours and we drink our 3 beers and we tip the bartender a quarter. That's what he just said.
Oh, come on, a shiny nickel.
I owned a restaurant. I was a bartender, a waiter, everything. I think tipping's great for the right.
So serve me that same beer in a dirty glass that's warm, or a cold frosty mug that is cold, and you say, "Oh boy, this one froze my fingers bringing it over, buddy."
Yeah.
The tip's going to the frosty mug. It's effort. It's energy.
Tip for service.
Experience.
Yes. Exceptional service.
You guys are becoming the old dudes on the porch yelling at the sky.
Listen here, you. Listen here, you German.
It's crazy how that happens, though. It really is. I was watching a video the other day, and they said, "Oh, this middle-aged fat man just knocked out this guy that was in good shape." And I looked at the guy, and I'm like, "The middle-aged fat man is in pretty damn good shape." I mean, what the hell? So then I'm thinking, what would they say about me on there? That's why I have guns.
They'd probably talk about your charming, good looks, and
that's got to be it. Good point.
Hey guys, we got a naughty neighbor, or maybe not. My neighbor isn't letting me install trees up against his see-through fence. What can I do? Hold on. I got the whole thing right here.
So as a challenging neighbor with whom it's hard to be friendly, our houses share a wall on the left side, divided by a half block and half iron fence. Unfortunately, I can see right into his house, which I'd rather not do. He insists that the wall was installed by him and that the previous neighbor didn't contribute to the cost. He's adamant about not wanting anything to touch his wall.
Well, if it's his wall and it's on his property, it's his problem.
Right.
So exactly. First of all, wouldn't you have a surveyor take a look at it and make sure that it is his wall? Because if it's on the property line and there's no agreement, it's half your wall. You can do as much as you want, up to 50%, right? Same thing with him telling you can't plant anything on your side of the wall. Come on. That'd make me plant twice as much.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta know what your land is your land, and you can do anything on your land that you want, as long as it works within the ordinances. So,
yeah.
But if it's on his wall and you want to put ivy on his fence, I mean, you can't do that. You know,
if it's on his property, no.
Yeah, it's his, right?
If you're smart, when you put a fence in anyway, you'll put the fence in a foot, but then it's like, what do you do with that strip of 1 foot? So then the neighbor, doesn't want to mow it, and they're like, you can't come on my property. So then there's like, do you need to have a 2, so you can run a lawnmower down it, or do you put it right on the property line? And most people will put it right on the property line, on their property, but up to their edge of the property. So in that case, I don't know really what to tell you there, because I get it's your wall, but when you put it where it's invasive into someone else's space, almost in the tune of an encroachment where it's not on your property, but it's really, really, really close. It feels like an encroachment. I don't know. I decorate it the way you need to decorate it to make the wall work for you.
It's amazing how sometimes that stuff really affects. I just bought a house that the guy I bought it from and the neighbor have had a dispute all the time about trees and lot lines, and they know exactly where the lot line is. And so the one put all his trees on the one side, and it goes over to the other people's, and don't touch my tree if you wreck my tree. And the other one put up little, basically took an irrigation system and then did like little faucets and put them all along the lines, and it was just like, God. It's just like, but it was a 30-year, now they're both gone, but it was a 30-year battle, which is really kind of sad. But.
Well, I think we had this last summer. We had a guy that was talking about being on acreage, and then the new neighbor came in and had the boundary lines, actual survey done, and like all the trees that the neighbor thought were his were actually yours, and all of a sudden it's like, and then the neighbor says, "Well, I didn't agree to do a survey, so we're going to keep it the way it is," and that's where you get into some disputes. We've been doing this for 50 years and you're new.
Yeah. Well, there's encroachments, adverse possession.
Implied
There's a lot of little legal things that could happen in there, and obviously you want to try to work it out with each other and see what you can do, but otherwise an attorney will, and that's what happens.
Yep. It's probably the original reason they were the job was created was for probably land disputes.
Yeah.
I was just 1 year old when my family started in real estate, where both my parents were agents. They also dabbled in investing in real estate, rentals, flips, and construction. After college, I went right into getting my license in July of 1990. As a 23-year-old agent in an industry that looks nothing like today, I had to know more for my clients to choose me. There wasn't Zillow or social media to tell them how good I was. I had to win them over with knowledge. With knowledge comes confidence, and with confidence comes results.
Hi, boys. Hey, going to Burnsville here. 1.5 Minnesota luxury property.
That's on Crystal Lake. I'm just telling you, right there.
Gotta be.
I used to live on Crystal Lake.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did. I call it Lily Pad Bay. We had lots of lily pads, but it's sitting in a great location. We never had a boat, but it was just kind of nice for the water and stuff. I basically did a flip on it. Lived there like 9 months. That's when I spanked Nick in the butt, and I left like a hand impression, like half on his diaper and half on his leg. He was so, and he just laughed at me. God.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a kind of Lakeville, Burnsville, Apple Valley area. And I would say the houses on Lake Marion are anywhere from probably 800 to
Crystal Lake or Lake Marion?
2 million. Oh, what's that?
You said Crystal Lake or Lake Marion?
This is Crystal Lake. There's
Crystal Lake. Okay.
Orchard, Crystal, and Lake Marion in Lakeville. And this one's kind of in Burnsville as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Crystal Lake. I have to remember what I'm talking about here.
That's okay. No, I was with you.
Yeah. So let's see inside. That 3,100 square feet. It looks a lot bigger than that, doesn't it? Andy?
It does from the street because it's nice and wide, and as a rambler, I don't know. It looks like is it a 2-story or rambler? I can't tell yet.
I don't know. We gotta see some pictures.
You see, it's built in 2019 too.
Yeah, that's really interesting because there's very few newer houses on that lake. So it had to be a tear down. So you think that looks like a rambler, Andy, with just kind of a
to me it does. Kind of like open vaults or something, but maybe there's a couple bedrooms up. I'm not sure.
Okay, let's keep going.
All that snow's from from Buck Hill blowing across the freeway there.
Yeah. Keep going. It's a hell of a view. Nice kitchen. Got a little porch there. I want to see if there's a main floor master. Tell you what, it's like a nice house for that money. I just got to know more. I need to know more. Hold on, Andy, go back one picture, Nick. What do you think of those like normal chairs at the other end? Look at that. See on the right there, Andy? Huh. And on I see that, but on the other end, it's like
that's different. I don't know for staging reasons, but it is an overhang, so I'm sure they're thinking that they're just trying to maybe show it as an area you could sit, but I don't know. I'd look at that as a place you'd hide the dog dish under it or something so you don't kick it.
I don't think I would have extended. I would if it was me, I would be cutting that countertop off and just keeping it as an island more.
Bigger kitchen, yeah. Me too.
Okay, keep going. But they did it right with all the windows, I'll tell you that.
Jeez, no kidding.
Oh, look at that. That's interesting. They should have taken that rug out of there, but
yeah, the blue's a little much, isn't it?
And get that more of that ceiling in the picture, because that's a pretty cool room. Oh, there it is. There
we're zoomed in. That's why. Okay.
Yeah. It looks like it was a big roof, and then they kind of just filled it in with some plastic pieces.
Yeah.
But it's probably aluminum. That's a nice room. God, I'll tell you what. This is I think a nice little price for this place.
Yeah, so far I like it too.
I think there's a master bedroom right behind that fireplace. Let's keep going. Yep, there we go. It's on the main floor. So I don't think there's a basement, Andy. See that? It's like slab on grade.
Wow.
Which is fine. I mean, it's down close to the lake.
Yep.
You know, it's a lot more acceptable now to be slab on grade, like Andy was talking about with those up on the postage stamps for 420,000.
Yep.
Looks like some of these, some of the design seems older in 2019, but
it looks, honestly, I was gonna say, it gives me the vibe of a remodeled house a little bit, but I'm biting my tongue because I want to see the whole thing. But
yeah,
because like a lot of times you won't design a house where it has just one bedroom on the main floor, unless or whatever.
So there's something upstairs too.
Yeah, it must be okay.
That's where the extra square footage is. So that's almost like it's a reverse Rambler. I mean, where you get the other stuff up top. So there's a loft up top.
Sure.
Gives you kind of an extra family room.
Right.
And I bet you there's a bedroom on each end. Yep, there's the stairway coming up.
That's nice. So that'd be perfect for me for my cabin.
Right. I mean, probably a little not enough money for your cabin, but I mean.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I think I think this is, we were trying to do luxury homes, and I think this to me is more of a, you might look at like, oh, I don't know if it's such a luxury home, but I think it becomes the price is luxury. And you obviously got to pay for that lake. But I don't know. I think that's a pretty darn good price on that place. I do.
Oh, look at that rear door. I like that.
Yeah, it's just kind of that is new construction though, Andy. I don't think they would have modified that stuff. Yeah, they have the garage off the back as well. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's I think we it's almost like the heavy low roof lines, like the Frank Lloyd Wright craftsman style. Yeah. Almost, and I would have went maybe just a little farther with that style and had some more fun with that. But
yeah,
because to me I was kind of confused when I first looked at the front elevation, like which direction were they going? But very tastefully done, nice colors, nice everything else. It's just sometimes when you get into this price range, people will go, oh, that's a boring back, right, of a house, for an example. So what can I do to add some flair to that? What can I, is it shutters? Is it, whatever, some stonework, whatever. And
that's interesting when you say that, because the house that I just did, I just went really like, I don't know if I would call it plain, but a little more, it feels like a little modern, but it was intentional in looking at it and say, okay, I've got that. Now what else can I do to it? Because I almost have to like look at it, and then I can make a decision on how, okay, that bump out all needs to be stone, or
right.
Gosh, I could paint it this color and that would really look cool, or
blah,
blah, blah. So
this is interesting. They have like some summer photos here. Not as good of quality, but.
So what happened there, Nick, is that they just took the owner's photos.
Yeah.
So the owner had those photos and gave them to the agent. But that's why me and Andy always talk about, it's typically in the fall. Let's get out there and get some photos right now, so we can, if you have to list it in this time. I mean, and listing a lake house in January is kind of like, why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one is there's probably not much else out there. Okay, so you're kind of hitting a market that you don't have as much competition. Number two, it might mean just that, hey, I got to move. I'm getting transferred. We're making a move. We're doing something, But typically people want it green and blue. But that's what everyone wants, is green and blue. So you can kind of get both sides of it if you have some nice summer photos. So that would have been good to, have some summer photos. And if you're on a lake and you don't have an agent doing it, take as many pictures as you possibly can. I mean, if you have a great sunset, get a bunch of those sunset photos, because those are things that we can take, maybe enhance a little and use them for marketing.
For sure.
Hey, last thing, we're going to talk about top 10 Minnesota walkable cities. Obviously, there's some ones at the start, but I also want to get your guys' thoughts on the whole idea of walkable cities, because it's a huge topic for like younger people. Obviously, if you travel, you're in a lot of walkable cities, and the USA doesn't have as many. So Let me pop this article up here from.
How would we define a walkable city? Would that be like, hey, you can get to grocery stores and medical help, or is it like they got good bike paths?
Yeah, I think it's a mix. So like you can walk down to the local grocery store, some parks. It's not parking galores.
Do you guys remember back in our CCO days, there was that Walk Score company that advertised with us for a while. I don't know if that app is still available, but it would score each city based on walkability.
Yeah, they have it here, Walk Score.
Well, it actually is an app. It's a whole app that is doing the same thing you're showing us, unless this is that app.
I think that's on the MLS still, too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So we got Minneapolis, St. Paul, Richfield, huh? That's interesting. What are they saying in Richfield? Because, there are some good areas in Richfield around Holy Angels and that whole place. Hopkins, wow. I would have... Hopkins is in front of Excelsior. Is Excelsior on there?
Yeah,
I'm sure Maple Grove,
Hopkins.
Excelsior, Columbia Heights. Come on.
The downtown area.
Because it's the downtown area. Yeah, Hopkins downtown is pretty cool. So is St. Louis Park. St. Louis Park's kind of fun. You're talking
Columbia Heights having a higher score, though. I'll tell you what. I've been through Columbia Heights, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of areas there that are, very like there's a Menards, then there's a Taco Bell, and then there's a pawn shop. There's a movie theater. I don't know when they're. So Walk Score to me is are they talking about walking to their employment? Are they talking about restaurants? Are they talking about entertainment? Are they talking about healthcare? To a bus stop? I don't know. I mean, to bus stops, it probably would rank right up there because there's bus stops everywhere in Columbia Heights. But
yeah, to me, that Columbia Heights is a surprise. Winona's beautiful on the river.
Yeah, Winona, that college, university, easily walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Cool,
try to go to dinner
downtown.
We were just down there for volleyball. We were trying to go to dinner when we were leaving town, and we had to drive about 3 miles the other way to find a place that was even open. So when they say that's why I don't know, I'm not questioning your source, but
it's Redfin, so I assume you're questioning it.
I am. I'm totally questioning it.
West St. Paul is
where's Maple Grove? Where's and is it including apartments as well? Because I don't know.
It must be that you got to be able to afford it too, because Excelsior would be in there in a second, or Wayzata. I mean, downtown Wayzata on the water is freaking amazing.
Yeah, like Crystal has commerce everywhere though. They don't have like a central, really. I mean, other than like that right off of Broadway over there, they kind of have a centralized, retail center. But
what was number 10? There's number
New
10?
Hope, Minnesota.
New Hope too.
Maple Grove didn't even make the list.
Okay, well, this is a good
What
thing.
about Anoka? I like that little area by you, Andy.
I know.
Yeah.
This is This is a good thing to show people that these big companies and articles don't necessarily know what they're talking about, right? But I also wanted to get your guys' thoughts on Minnesota's walkable cities and if there's a future for it and so forth.
I would like to add Excelsior. I'd like to add Wayzata.
Yep.
I think Maple Grove. Yeah, Maple Grove's a really good one. But I think some of those were pretty darn good. I mean, I would have said Richfield, but then I think about it. And I mean, kind of that Richfield kind of area off 66 and kind of into Edina and then over by Holy Angels. I mean, it is good.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have picked Columbia Heights and New Hope and Crystal.
I gotta be honest with you, Nick. This might have been one of those AI written articles where they just go top cities, and all of a sudden they publish it.
But it had to do something with affordability too. It had
and the walk score.
Yeah,
they found the walk score.
Like Stillwater too. Think about like Stillwater for you can live around down by the river and you walk down to the restaurants and the shopping and the whatever. And I go, but see again, it depends on what ranks the walk score. And that's what so that app that I was talking about, I don't even know if it still exists. I hope it does. And you can go in there and you type in what's important to you, and then it would tell you what the score is. So based on like bus lines are the most important thing, it would recommend cities based on that, or like restaurants, shopping, grocery stores, drugstores within so many blocks of this location. And then you could say what's walking. Is walking 4 blocks or is it 50 blocks? Because I mean, some people could walk 3 miles and not consider it to be a big deal. Versus Chris and I'd fall over after the 1 block and we'd be like sitting on the park bench waiting for somebody to pick us up on Uber.
Oh, do we lose Nick?
Uberable cities. That's where we'll live.
Nick, we lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey, so Chris, your best walkable cities in Minnesota would be Excelsior and downtown Wayzata?
I think I would do Wayzata number one.
Number one. Andy, on the other side?
I like Stillwater too, though.
I like a lot of those, like even for example, I'm really close to like Maple Grove, but it's like you think about walkable, can you live and walk? I'm listing literally today a townhouse that's right in the heart of downtown Maple Grove, the new part, and which is a really rare thing to find. And but there's so many new apartments that are there too. And if those are homes, so those people have walkable. Like my kid lives over there too, in a cute little apartment, and they can walk to restaurants and walk home. So I like Maple Grove for the Northwest Metro, but I don't know. There's so much charm with the Stillwaters and some of those other quaint little cute cities.
I think that little Anoka area is kind of cute too.
It is.
Yeah.
Lisa and I frequented all the time. Great little restaurants, fun places to go, fun things to do.
Do you do that? Do you do that on your daily jog, like your morning jog, and then your nightly walk?
It does hit high on my walk score, Chris, because it's in my loop.
See, that's why he has a problem with the walk score, Nick, is because he runs. He doesn't walk.
I run across the river bridge, and then I run down to the Coon Rapids Bridge, and then I come across and then back up the river road. It's about a 40-mile loop. Do
you go to the Blaine complex and watch a hockey game?
I sometimes jog over there too and watch hockey, which is a blast.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, amazing. Hey, everyone, click that link. Our full website, or all our websites, full episodes on there. Send us in any questions you have. If you want to buy, sell real estate, contact us. See you next week.
Contact him. That guy right there. See.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Real Estate Radio Hour. Don't forget to visit our website, realestateradiohour.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast listening app. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or sharing us with a friend. Until next time, stay awesome, Twin Cities.